The cover-up continues. Like the claim that 4 Americans, including Ambassador Chris Stevens, were brutally murdered because of a spontaneous protest to a video trailer, the Obama administration, and Hillary Clinton in particular, continue the cover-up. The White House pattern of deception became more apparent when the administration admitted that U.S. intelligence knew within 24 hours that Benghazi was a terrorist attack and suspected al-Qaeda was behind it.
If you want to be president, you owe the American people the truth.
Why did you guys jump out and blame it on a video? Why did you say it wasn't about the administration, about American policy or Americans? Why did you take out an ad and apologize to the Muslim world, perpetuating your lie that the video was responsible for the death of 4 Americans? Now that more facts are coming out, they want us to take more time before we draw any conclusions.
It will take time before we have a complete understanding of what actually did happen.
Why didn't you take time for a complete picture to emerge? Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. What did our leaders know and when did they know it? I've spent my life in the assignment of responsibility based upon facts and evidence, not excuse, cover-up, or make-believe narratives. But it gets even worse. Hillary Clinton's State Department had credible information 48 hours before terrorists charged our consulate in Benghazi that American missions may be targeted. The State Department gave no warning, did not put personnel on high alert or lockdown, even on the anniversary of 9/11.
And with all of our missions overseas in advance of September 11th, as is done every year, we did an evaluation on threat streams. And the Office of the Director of National Intelligence has said we had no actionable intelligence that an attack on our post in Benghazi was planned or imminent.
The amazing thing is that our sources tell us that there were up to 60 prior assaults, 60 prior violent incidents. But even more outrageous, reports are the State Department turned down requests by our ambassador to put more security at the consulate. In fact, pathetically, the State Department actually reduced security. The shame is that in one of the most dangerous places in the world, there was no bulletproof glass, no Marines accompanying the ambassador, and none of the other protections common to all other embassies.
Let me assure you that our security in Benghazi included a unit of host government security forces, as well as a local guard force of the kind that we rely on in many places around the world.
Really? In Benghazi? One of the most dangerous places on earth? They should have the same security as Switzerland? Really? The country that per capita provided more people to fight America than any other country in the world. And by the way, the Libyan guards that the host government provided not only are suspected of giving up our safe house location to the terrorists, but they actually ran away during the attack. And are the British that much smarter than we are? They got the hell out of Benghazi in June. They were only 1 block from us. They saw the handwriting on the wall. They knew what was coming. The bottom line is Hillary Clinton's State Department not only denied our ambassador the security he needed, but they actually took security down a level, putting American lives in danger. We know that Ambassador Christopher Stevens was in fear. We know he wrote that he was on an al-Qaeda hit list. But Christopher Stevens believed in America. Christopher Stevens believed he could make a difference. He upheld his part of the bargain. The Obama administration, Hillary Clinton in particular, did not. And now the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee will commence an investigation Wednesday on the failure of security at our consulate in Benghazi. Pennsylvania Congressman Pat Meehan sits on the Homeland Security and Oversight Government Reform Committees, and he joins us from Philadelphia. Good evening, Congressman.
Hey, good evening, Judge. Nice to be with you.
Nice to have you here tonight. All right. You know, one of the issues that the committee is going to be looking into are the reports that as many as 60 prior violent assaults may have preceded this actual terrorist attack in Benghazi. Could you tell us anything about this?
Well, Judge, of course, you know from your experience, one of the things is when you have whistleblowers or insiders that bring information, and that has motivated the activities of this committee, and information which suggests that there were numerous opportunities for a prudent department to be looking at the activities, including, as you identified, attacks on the British interests there, actual attacks, including ones with IEDs on the consulate itself, the American consulate, in June. So an awareness that there should have been a much higher appreciation for the risk. And those are the facts that we would like to try to have the State Department answer to.
And, you know, it's interesting, Congressman, that in the letter that was sent to Hillary Clinton as the Secretary of State, there are at least 13 separate attacks, prior attacks identified. But they say that multiple U.S. federal government officials have confirmed that the U.S. mission in Libya had made repeated requests for increased security, but it was denied. If you find that to be the case, and you also were able to determine, at least from his own diary, that the ambassador was in fear, what are the sanctions? What are the consequences? What can you do?
Well, first we have to start with the facts to determine that. When you get sanctions, my sense is it's accountability should be for anybody within the organization who turned a blind eye to those requests. But our principal concern, of course, is to make sure that we understand how these decisions are being made in the first place. We're talking about an Arab Spring. We're talking about a representation of State Department employees in a lot of other dangerous places around the world. And we want to make sure that communications are working effectively and they're appropriately protected in other locations as well.
And, you know, Congressman, you can even look at Fast and Furious. I mean, that took forever to resolve itself. And the allegations that were made by Darrell Issa, you know, turned out to be pretty accurate. But there were few, if any, consequences. And my question is this. Will there be a review or assessment of Ambassador Rice's comments about this being a fake movie that was the spur of this? And will there be some kind of accountability in terms of putting more funds or making sure that our embassies are protected in these dangerous areas?
Well, let me start with the comments of Ambassador Rice, and that is clearly going to be one of the issues that's going to be the subject of the inquiry by the Oversight Committee. You had comments almost a full 5 days after the incident, still continuing to suggest that the motivation for this was the film that had been made that was inciting activity in the region. Within 24 hours, you had comments from the country by Libyan officials themselves, which suggested that it was a well-organized attack by al-Qaeda. So why would the State Department be making comments that seem to be contrary to the facts? And certainly the issue as to whether or not this was a misrepresentation or even a sort of a misdirection, some might even suggest cover-up of what was known and what actually happened, is going to be part of what's looked at.
All right. Thank you very much, Congressman Meehan, for being with us tonight. And good luck on Wednesday. I'm sure that the hearings will continue and hopefully provide information for the American people. And former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense and Fox News national security analyst, KT McFarland, my friend, joins us this evening. All right, KT, I mean, I just want to segue from what the congressman just said. And that is that, you know, they're going to look at these issues. They're going to look to see, you know, what the reality was. We don't even have to address the issue of the video, right? That's just hogwash.
It's a joke from the beginning, yeah.
All right. And the Libyan president said it was preposterous himself.
Absolutely.
All right. So what do we do from this point?
All right. There are three things that this committee should look for. One is, and there's so many questions, it's hard to even know where to start. You did a great job, by the way, of outlining them. But initially, Intelligence. What was the intelligence failure? Why did we not know? There already had been attacks on this embassy in June and a series, a cascading of events. The area was getting much more dangerous. Why did we not know? But if we did know, why did we fail to provide the security?
Okay, so let me stop you there. If we did know,
right,
why did we fail to provide the security? Not only if we did know, which emails seem to indicate we did, and the ambassador was afraid, and when CNN finds his journal, they start criticizing CNN,
right,
then what would the motivation be to not protect our ambassador? Why?
You know, I think really it's because of a third failure, and that's the policy failure. You know, this administration was very eager to go topple dictators throughout the region and claim this was going to be an outbreak of Western-oriented liberal democracies. Well, in fact, that's not what's happening. Country after country, even when they go to the ballot box, they're electing Muslim Brotherhood Islamics. Right. So did this just not fit into their narrative? Did they not take it seriously? But it's not just why did they not provide security before. Once the operation was going on, once it was going down, they knew that the embassy, the consulate was under attack and the ambassador was there. Why did they not try to go send in a mission to rescue him?
Tell me why.
I don't know. I talked to one person who's active in the region, who's got people on the ground in the area, and said maybe they just were worried that it would be a Black Hawk Down incident. So, and I said, well, do you mean the ambassador was expendable? And he said, well, they just didn't provide any sources or resources to go rescue him while he was there.
All right, you are familiar with all of this.
Yeah.
You worked in President Reagan's administration, correct?
Yeah.
All right, if an American had been killed then, along with 3 other officials, what do you think would have happened?
Well, I think we would have gone in to try to rescue them because you didn't know in advance that they would be killed.
If they were dead.
You didn't know they were dead. You didn't know they were taken hostage. You just didn't know. Why did you not send in reinforcements? You know, the 2 SEALs who were killed, they were not part of the protection
They were
brigade.
volunteers.
They knew. They were half a mile away. They knew there was something going on. They rushed into the scene to see if they could be of any assistance. I've got a whole lot of questions about this, but I think one of the fundamental questions is who would have made a decision to not provide that security? Mm-hmm. I was in the White House during Watergate, and I promise you that when cover-ups start happening, it's because they're covering up somebody at the top. They're not covering up some junior official. And a decision to either override an ambassador's request, that's not some, you know, major in the Pentagon.
Maybe it doesn't go along with the narrative that this is the, you know, the beginning of democracy, secularism in Libya, and if they killed bin Laden, how could al-Qaeda still be around?
Well, I think that's a big part of it. It doesn't fit in with the narrative, and they wanted to keep everything quiet until after the election.
Is that sad? Yeah,
it is. Because, look, why are they trying to cover something up? You know, the White House, as you pointed out, the first thing was blame the video. Well, the video had nothing to do with it. And anyway, if you blame the video, what's going to happen with the White House-sponsored movie that's going to come out in December showing Americans killing bin Laden?
As always, KT, we love having you on,
so
really.
Much.
Thank you.